Test, test, test. There we go. Can you even hear me? I guess that would be the first question is, can you hear me? I think I'm going to have to get a new microphone. And if I've got the timing wrong and Andy has a live stream coming, let me know. I'm not going to step on his live stream. But I want to know, expat versus sexpat. I think that is a big question. Good morning, Mike. How you doing? And Sharky and Central Florida. So I'm assuming that the volume is working on my microphone this morning. I certainly hope it is. Oh, Brent is up early this morning. How are you guys doing? So I want to get through this rather quickly. I want to get started here. Expat versus sexpat. And I put out a video. If I put that up, all right, that's going to be my only option to try. Mac. And there we go. How about that? That is better. Okay. Okay, now let's see. All right. I'm hoping that makes things a little better. Shit. Don't touch anything. Okay, okay. All right. So let's get this. I put out a video the other day, yesterday, about taking care of your Filipina. And I got some great comments, constructive comments, and I got some negative comments, which I expected. And indeed, what really dawned on me was, it kind of depends on where you are. And then it depends on how I took a look at, what's an expat. I mean, because some people are never going to take care of the Filipino because they're not in a long-term relationship. So my question is going to be very simple, and it's very open-ended to all of you. What is the difference between a sexpat and a expat? A sexpat in a relationship and an expat in a relationship are two totally different things, aren't they? And if so, where do you draw the line between being an expat and a sexpat? So I started doing research and I came up with a bunch of different things. And one of the things that I can't quite understand, Bruce, I like Bruce, the difference is if you get caught, huh? Yeah, I guess so. That's part of it, Bruce. Okay. So the question really is suppose you say two different things here that I would pose to you. Okay. If you are dating, that's not a sexpat, is it? Or is it a sexpat if you're giving her money in dating? All right. That's the first question. All right. If you're paying for her to spend her time with you, all right, is that a sexpat? Or do you further define that as saying that there are other issues? Yes, pay to play, pay to play certainly rolls into this. Okay. But let's pretend you want to say, well, I'm not paying to play. All right. I'm not paying to play. I'm being a humanitarian. But 2 months later, you're being a humanitarian to a different girl. Well, is that really? I mean, you got to tell me where do you define it? Where do you draw the line? Where do you decide that that is not the way for it to be? How do you decide? I mean, that's the really big question in my mind. Now Heath says none. You're paying for it. Rather it be straight out of pocket, buying drinks, paying for dinner, buying. Sure. But I mean, that's all part of the process of cultivating a relationship. Also, Heath, isn't it? Isn't that part of cultivating a relationship? Part of it. I mean, if you're dating somebody, you're going to pay. But you see where I'm going with this. I want to know what you guys think. I want to understand where you decide to draw that line. For instance, if we look at this, all right, a sexpat is anyone that moves to another country for the main reason of obtaining easier sex. which includes blah, blah, blah. All right. There is only true and authentic. There is the only true and authentic definition of this. However, younger expats and that deny being expats and will start. And this is the part I want to try and understand. I want to understand this part. Okay. And that is, whoops, it's not what I was looking for. Let's redo this. And we'll go here. This is the part where they will vehemently deny being sexpats and instead finding a bunch of elegant excuses. That is something, isn't it? So in other words, you can then turn around and say, hey, I'm not a sexpat. All right. This is part of the process. Is it? I don't know. I really and truly don't. And that's part of what I'm going at, or I'm trying to get to anyways. What I'm trying to figure out is, where do you define a sexpat versus an expat? How do you define it? Okay. Where do you draw the line between dating and being an expat? Where do you draw that line? Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the link. And if you want to discuss it, right there it is. So there's the link. Feel free to join in and let us know, where do you draw the line between dating and a sexpat? Because we're going to be making a video about this, and I want to see what you guys think. So Bruce Sender says the most expensive things you can get are the things you thought were free. No such thing as free. You pay one way or the other. Well, yeah, everything has a cost. There's no free meals. There's nothing else. Everything has a price. There's no doubt about that. Donnie, I thought of sex was someone who visits Walking Street all the time. All expat retirees to a country, and expat retires to a country. Well, Donnie, I would venture to say that may not be entirely accurate. I mean, you can go to Walking Street and not bar fine girls. You can just go have drinks. There are a couple of show clubs there. You could go watch a show. You could go watch the girls dance. You could go have conversations. That doesn't mean, there's no sex involved. Yeah. Now, Bruce brings up an interesting, this is the question though. Honestly, a sexpat is someone that changes partners as often as he changes his shirt. Okay, how do we decide? All right, what is that limit? Where is it that you decide to change partners makes the difference between an expat and a sexpat? All right, what's that number? Is it, oh, I'm dating a different girl every week? Oh, I'm dating a girl every month? All right. Or do you define it from a financial point of view? Oh, when I date girls, I'm happy to give them a little extra money. When I date girls, I'm helping them pay their rent. Or when I date girls, it's just like, hey, you know what? They're getting a meal, they're getting time out. And if they want to have some fun, well, that's my intention. So Where do you draw that line? Do you say, if I'm giving a girl money in any way, shape, or form while she is not living with me, I am a sexpat? Then do you say, okay, I want um, I want her to live with me, and in order to do that, I got to give her money to replace her what she would have been earning, say working in a call center, because you want her to spend that time. Um, and yeah, Heath, you're right on track there. There will never. It seems like there's never a common ground, and it seems that it gets very, very um, uh, controversial, to say the least. All right, but where do you draw that line? If you're paying a girl to stop working, no matter what her job is, if you're paying a girl to spend her time with you, does that make you a sex pat? If you're paying a girl, you know what? Suppose you're like, you know what? I don't want you to live with me, but I want you to be um, uh, I want you to live with me, but at the same time, I don't want you. I don't want you to live with me, but at the same time, I want you to be available. So I'm going to buy you a scooter so that you can come over and we can spend time whenever, and we can go out and this and that. Does that make you a sex pat because you're spending money on her? I I want to know what people think about that. So OG says 250,000 sealed indictments in Pacer. Diddy, TDJ, Schiff, Goldman, Ellen, Beyonce. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Mike, if you're just date one girl, then you're right, Bruce. That's true. But what happens if you have that? I'm just tired of her. Every once a month, I'm tired. I'm tired of this. I don't want to be with the same girl for month after month. I have no intention of settling down. I have no intention of being only with this girl. Does that make you a sex pat? Or does that mean you enjoy the variety of dating? And if you enjoy the variety of dating because you would give these girls money to make their lives better, does that make you a sex pat? Every relationship is transactional to some degree, buying dinner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, sure it is. Every transaction is. Sexpat, not emotionally invested in that person. Expat is someone looking for love and support from each other and respect. Yes, Elvis, that's true. But don't you gotta find that person? Don't you have to get and find them? And so in the process of finding them, are you a sexpat? All three ex-wives quit their jobs before the ink was dry on the wedding license. Well, I don't have an answer for that. That's for sure, Donnie. I guess that's why they're all three ex, maybe. Bruce, maybe a sexpat is someone that knows before the date even starts that it will be a different girl next time and always is. Yes, Bruce, that is the process. That is clearly a sexpat, in my opinion. But a lot of people don't feel that way. And I'm trying to understand that. All right. Some expats evolve into sexpats. That's true. That is true. Traveling trucker. I'm an expat in a village with no expats. Life is good. Well, there you go. As long as you're happy. I'm not saying, I don't want you to think that we're saying being a sexpat is wrong. We're not saying being a sexpat is wrong. We're not judging somebody else. We're not saying an expat is wrong. We're not saying dating is wrong. I mean, certainly you've got to find out where you are with these things. You know, that's really the honest line. You know, if somebody can look, let me know if Andy Omar has a live going on. If he is live right now, I don't want to step on his live stream. Let me just check real quick and double check I'm not stepping on his live stream. Bum, 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 bum. Upcoming 7:30. So we've got about a half an hour before I got to bolt out of here. Want to make sure. So you're forking up the money if you date one girl or a bunch of you. You pay now, you pay later. Exactly. And that's my point, Bruce. Where do you draw that line? Where do you differentiate between dating in the Philippines and being a sexpat? Where is that line at? So the link is back up there if you want to join. All right. But the link is there. Please do, and let's hear your opinion. Let us hear it. Bruce, you're forking up the money. Been there, done that. Don't have to find them. Their guys think they're all waiting at the airport. There's a lot of truth to that. Sexpats are tire kickers trying different cars. I don't know. You know, trucker, when I dated in the U.S., I was kicking tires. I landed in Manila. I didn't see any women. We see quite a few of them when we're there. That's for sure. Keep in mind that well, either way, it doesn't matter. All right. Did you see any girls on a plane? Yeah, there were some in the on our flights, but they're usually old ladies coming back from visiting. Makes Mike look young. I'm definitely not young, that's for sure. Journey with our miracle preemie. Wonder how many Filipinas are in the U.S. and also could be considered a sexpat. I don't know. You know, that's an interesting concept. But for now, I'm focusing on old men and young men here in the Philippines like us. I couldn't sleep last night wondering about who's expanding and who is not. There you go. Good morning, Dano. Hope you're doing well. Roy. Good morning, everyone. How you doing, Roy? We'll be seeing you shortly. Roy and I are going to have a little bit of coffee and breakfast this morning in a little bit. I think the line is drawn more depending on what your budget is. I don't know. I'm not sure, Heath, that I could agree with that. I mean, I could say that I had a very substantial budget when I was just dating. I could say that after my second divorce in the U.S., I said, that's it. I'm never getting into a relationship again. I'm never going to get married again. I'm just going to date strippers. They know what money means. I know how to spend money, and that's just the way it is. Okay? So, what did that make? I mean, that kind of made me an asshole, I guess, in the US. So, I don't know. I believe if nobody gets hurt, then sexpat should not be a derogatory term. I be honest with you, Bruce. I agree. I agree that a sexpat is nothing different than a guy dating in America. He's going from point to point trying to find happiness. If he doesn't, um, if he doesn't, then he doesn't. Now, it's funny. Dano says Dr. Ruth calls sexpat labeling no such term. Not only that, Donna, if you look in Webster's dictionary, there's no such word as sexpat. Okay? So, yes, that is true. Eric Sherman, I think it's an attitude, looking just to play or looking for the right one. Yes, it is. So how do you define that? How do you determine what it is? Brewmeister, good morning, Brew. How are you doing, young man? Hope things are going well. Thank you for joining us. Hector says, truth be told, how many men go to the Philippines for the food, culture, scenery, or beaches? Not many, I suspect. No, Hector, I don't think you'll get a lot of pushback, or you won't get any pushback from me. I didn't go to the Philippines looking for a relationship. Okay? But I found one totally by accident. I did go to the Philippines actually I was actually going all over Asia, Thailand, Cambodia, the Philippines. But with all of that being equal, I think that the vast majority of men that are coming to the Philippines are either to fulfill the process of the long distance relationship they've gotten into, or to find that relationship. Or then you're going to have that percentage that just say, you know what, I have to be on the ground in order to find that relationship. But where do you define that? How do you decide? All right. How do we define what is the difference between an expat that's a sexpat, or a guy that's dating, or a guy that's being reasonable or not reasonable? That's an opinion. Or a guy that says, you know what, we're dating, but I'm going to help support you. But he has a track record of, pumping and dumping every 30 days. Jim, good morning. I do. Oh, look, Ruby is here. Ruby, that would be interesting to hear what her opinion is. Exactly, Hector. Eventually, I did fall in love with the Philippines itself. Good morning from Spurlin and Panga. How you doing, Spurlin? It's good to see you here. Thanks for dropping by. JJ, the Lonely Bull. Good morning, JJ. So again, I ask you folks, all right, I ask you, where do you draw the line? Give me a defined definition, an actual number. In other words, if I were a single guy and I dated a different girl every other week, so twice a month, and when I dated those girls, I was nice to them financially, is that a sexpat? And by dating, I mean, that includes the boom boom. All right. So does that make me a sexpat if that's what I do? Or am I looking for that one woman? And that's the process along the way. Where do you draw the line? That makes you a stud. Well, guess what, Elvis? It would, and I certainly am not there. And it's been many, many, many years before I think I could have ever been there. So, but I'm just saying because we definitely see that. We see it out there. So maybe the number, all right, maybe the number is once a month, all right? Maybe the number is once every 6 weeks. Maybe it's 3 weeks out, 3 times out of the year. I mean, you would not be call a guy in America that dates 3 women in 1 year a man whore. Would you say that to a guy here? All right. I mean, I'm just asking. When my wife tells me to get the hell out, there you go, Donna. Mike Ross says it's simple. Lump all the expat and sexpats in the same category. The majority. Okay. I don't want to lump everybody together. I don't want to accuse people of different things that aren't. I certainly don't. Roy has a good comment. Roy says, I feel a sexpat has the intention to only boom boom with Filipinas. Sometimes they pay for play. Yeah. Well, anybody that pays for play, if that's their sole prerogative, is a sexpat. All right. Anybody that routinely pays for play goes from the expat role to the sexpat. It's that simple. It really is. Or is that true? Maybe it is, I'm willing to pay to play, but I want to do it with the same girl only. And I want to have a relationship, and I'm paying her for her help, her time, her knowledge, her all of these things. I mean, can these guys sit there and say, you know what? I'm paying her to learn in the Philippines to be with me, but in 2 months I'll be paying a different girl. How do you do that? I mean, I can't come across. I'm generalizing, but both groups are oddball character types traveling to Southeast Asia. Okay, Mike. A sexpat is what your intentions are. If it's dating or string without the intentions of, right? But where do you draw that line? How does that happen? Ruby says, depending on what your intention is for dating, is it to find the right partner or no strings attached and no commitment in mind? Okay. All right. So Ruby, let's talk about that for a second. Suppose you don't want a commitment, but you enjoy being with this woman, and she's the only woman you're with, and you financially support her, but you have no long-term commitment. All right. And she may at that point decide, or you might decide, does that make you a, I don't know. I don't know. Good morning, Bruce. Good to see you. JJ, a sexpat is someone whose sole intent is to pump and dump as many Filipinas as he can with no plans for a relationship. Some girls are hurt because he lies to hear about what his intent is. Yeah. I mean, certainly I agree with that, but that's an entirely all the way on the far side of the spectrum. In other words, that's the honest sexpat. How many sexpats are actually honest about it with both their partner, all right, and themselves? I agree with Ruby. What are your intentions? Andy's going live at 7:30. Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, I saw that. I wanted to make sure. And we will end this about 5 minutes before Andy goes live. I'm not going to, I don't like to step on other people's live streams. So, we do the best we can not to, anyways, because some people depend on it, on the live streams. Let's be honest, the majority of these guys who are dating are leading the. Well, that's my point, Mike. And that's what I was asking. I was asking, what is it, if they're not being honest, are they sexpats? If they're not being honest with who? They're not being honest with the girl, or in your case, you definitely, uh-oh. Let's see here. Oh, no.
What's going on, Mike?
Good morning, Mike.
It's kind of early for you.
What's the difference?
The what?
I'm asking, what's the difference?
Yeah, I just So what's the thing? Expat versus sexpat versus sex tourist.
Sure.
Okay, so expat, somebody fully moved to the Philippines, I guess, became an expatriate because per the title. Maybe find a girl that's going to be his woman, real relationship, whether marriage or just boyfriend, girlfriend. Sexpat, somebody who moves to the Philippines, and we see them pretty much every day in Angeles City, for example, just always in the sexpat street, we'll say, right? But because there's some guys that go there and just looks and stuff like that, but the guy who actually pays to play, right, that's the only way he can have a relationship, is to pay someone. Whether it's going to be somebody that's different every day or every week or every month, or maybe because there's some guys that literally will admit that they've had conversations with girls that the girl's going to be with him for, let's say he's going to give them $500 a month or $1,000 a month, and it's just an exclusive deal because there's an agreed upon rate that was made for her to stay with you. And then the sex tourist is the guy that does not move to the Philippines, but will just completely travel back and forth. Now, but at the same time he travels to another country because that's the only way he's going to get pussy, I would say. Right? Because here's the thing, are we going to call a guy sexpat who travels, let's say lives in New York, but went to Vegas and hooked up with a girl there, but he didn't pay for it, he just hooked up with her in a bar? I wouldn't consider that a person who's a sexpat because he traveled to another place to get some. I mean, it's like, so it's where there has to be an exchange of money for sexual gratification. I'd say there has to be that in order for it to be considered that. And I think you brought up a good idea, a good thought, where when I was about to log in, where that's the sole thing he does to get with girls is to pay for that.
But that's all right. So, I would sit there and I would say, wait a minute. Sexual gratification is a part of 90% of all relationships. All right. I mean, there are some relationships where sexual gratification is not a part of it. We know that. Okay. Mm-hmm. There are sexless relationships.
Yes.
So every relationship, every encounter either has a part of sexual gratification, either part of it or the intended result. So if I meet a girl, if I'm dating a girl, and I ask a girl out on a date, and things happen, mm-hmm, and I'm like, you know what? I want to help you as well. Here's some money. Is that a sexpat or is that a humanitarian?
Nope, sexpat.
Sexpat, exactly. So So if you give them money
No.
for,
No. Because there was an agreement that I'm going to help you this. I'm going to give you this. There was an agreed upon number put in place.
no, I'm saying there was not even a number put in place. I'm saying, you know what, Sally, we had such a great time this evening. Thanks. We went to, Texas Roadhouse, or we went to, wherever, and we saw a show, and we saw this. And man, let me tell you, you could suck the chrome off a bumper hitch. I'm really loving, spending time with you. Here's a couple thousand to make your day a little better. She never asked for money. No money was set up to begin with. Does that make him a sex pat?
Yes, because the thing goes, yeah, you're right. She didn't ask for the money, but the thing goes, she agreed that, okay, $1,000, $2,000 seems well. So, okay. So let's say, for example, by then he just, okay, fine, that's it. I would maybe give a caveat if he doesn't see her again. But if she sees him again, she's agreeing that she's like, oh, I'm going to get money from this, even though I don't need to. Because remember, there's going to be a lot of the girls that's going to be doing the things where they're not even going to ask for the money. They just, because some of these guys will just give the money right away. And then they're like, well, they're not going to complain because it's like, it's the right amount of money that they feel is equivalent to them spreading their legs.
Well, that's probably, that's an expectation in their mind. They know what the going rate is.
There you go. So the fact that they know that they're a hooker, because they know the expected rate, okay, then there is that transaction that is put in place.
But every woman would define or understand what her value is.
No, not every woman understands the value of her pussy and says that this is the equivalent of what I give this legs open.
Right. But if the girl doesn't complain, and in the end, he doesn't give her a dime, then that's not a sex pat.
No, because there's no money exchange. Because like you said, he did not give a dime. He was willing to be an accompanying partner for that. So then it's one of more of those. It's a relationship that she just does not understand. So I mean that's where that goes. I think Bookham, like for example, he doesn't agree with what I'm just trying to say. That means that more than likely, Bookham, how much did you offer your woman?
I don't. I'm not sure what does Dono not agree with.
That's what I'm just trying to say. So just to be fair, Bookham, okay. You don't agree. I'm literally saying there has to be an agreed upon number. Okay, there's an agreed upon number. When there's an agreed upon number for sex for this, what there's an agreed upon number, that means you are in a transaction.
Yes,
henceforth,
absolutely.
It is what it is. So I'm sorry to say, Bookham, then explain yourself. What is the right way? What if you don't agree with that? Because this is the thing. If a woman agrees to a particular number to be with you, whether for hanging out and there's sex involved, she's a hooker.
Well, all right, hold on. Let's go back. If there's an agreed upon number, it's pay for play. Period. In the store. All right. There's no argument with that.
And that's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is if a guy wants to use the term I'm dating, and if a guy meets a girl and at the end of the night or the next morning or whatever, with no previous mention of money, gives her money, does that make him a sex pal?
Like I said, if there is a second time.
So let's say that was on Monday, and he says, what are you doing Thursday night? As he's giving her a couple thousand pesos. What are you doing Thursday night? Mm-hmm. At that point, does it become a sex pat?
Yes, on his case, and the woman as well, if she is any right-minded woman, good woman, that all of a sudden this guy she hooks up with the first night ever, and he's like, here's some money. Any good woman, whether she gave it up the first night or not, would have been like, I'm not accepting that. Like no good woman would agree that she would take money. Now, here's the thing. If the guy goes, how much is it for you to get home? Let me get your grab, this and that. Okay, I'm going to give you something for your grab, 400, 500, whatever it takes you to get you home. Respect. But when you start saying 2,000, which is about $40 and all that stuff, the woman who accepts that knows that she got paid for sex. And for her to say otherwise is completely lying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I say this is because I got some really nasty little, you know what? There are very strong, divisive opinions on this. There are men who adamantly deny.
Of course, they don't want the stigma. They don't want to be labeled on that. I mean, like for example, Bruce says, I give bags money and sometimes again the next day, but got no sex. So that is a sex pet? I think not. No one's saying a beggar is, that's two different things. We're talking about where you actually got sex from it. Like, how is that even a way to kind of dictate and say that is a way to, okay, well, I give money to a beggar. That's, you didn't have no agreement. You didn't go to bed. You didn't you didn't have a get together or whatever. So how would I call that person a sex pet for that? That's not a bright way to make an analogy for this whole thing. And that's the thing. It's like it's a matter of like it's unfortunate. It's a matter of like people don't want this stigma, right? They're like, no, I went to, it's like if a guy says I go into the Philippines and stuff like that, I'm not gonna be like, yo, you're a sex pet. No, but if you stayed in Mango Square the whole time, if that's the only place you hung out, if the only place you hung out is Angeles City, right on the walking street the whole time you were in the Philippines, I'm sorry to say, like, it's like you can't really fight that no more. You go to you can do that anywhere in another country or close by where you're at. Now, if you start saying, okay, well, I went to Boracay, I went to Palawan, I did this, I did some trekking, all that stuff. Okay, fine. But at the very same time, as once there's that moment of that setup, like guys just need to kind of admit that.
Right. So, all I can do is say, man, I have gotten I got so many responses. Shit. Bitcoin's going back down.
Sorry,
I've got so many responses.
Yeah.
That video where they just completely defend what they're doing. And I'm like, you don't have to defend what you're doing. What you're doing is what you're doing. It is your desire. It is what you are. All right. Just because I'm not going to get in a relationship, I pay this for that. And you know what it reminds me? Oh, okay. You know something? Remember the Mark Thornton piece. Remember Mark Thornton interviewed the buddy and his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And the accusation, or not even accusation, I use that word terribly. All right. The action was, you know what? I met her. I wanted her to quit her job. Remember? I bought her a scooter. Okay. So she could get back and forth to work easier to begin with. Then eventually I wanted her to quit her job. And now we're getting married. Does that make him a sex pet?
Because, okay, so let's play the game here. What he said actually, for this relationship to work out, that she cannot no longer work. She has to be with me, and we agreed upon a money, so she no longer has to do it. So yes, sex pet. Now, that's sex pet. Now, he married. He wants to marry her. He fell in love or something like that. No longer a sex pet, just somebody who married a hooker.
Right. So married a hooker. Okay. So because he didn't want her, because he wanted to spend more time with her, he wanted her around more for whatever reasons.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes him a sexpat. He's giving her money to replace what she would have been making. It makes him a sexpat.
Because there was a meeting and an agreed upon. There was that transaction, that agreed thing. Let's sit down. This is how much I'm going to give you to be with me. That's it. That's the thing. There was an agreement.
I can't agree with that.
He literally. No, I respect that I respect your position on it. You
Yeah.
know, so and so because you put that thing earlier on with I forgot his name, what he said. So it's about sex, not about money. No, it's about both. I just want to clarify that. I don't think why I don't know understand why Bruce Sinead didn't get it. I was like, no, it's about both. Now, here's the thing. I'm not gonna criticize anyone, to say, okay, listen, you're wrong, you're a sex bad, ooh, boo, bad, negative. I'm not putting any negative connotations on anything. Do you, as long as it's within two consenting adults, that's just where it is, and here it goes again with Bruce, right? So anybody that hires girl, so what? Because I have girl employees, I'm a sex pet. That's not how that works. When you want something from it and giving money for it, like stop trying to make yourself feel better by not admitting that you are one. So and there's nothing, and like I said, I don't put any negative tone on anything. Somebody who does it, if this is something that you're going to do you. Like I said, it's I don't see anything as a negative thing for people regarding that situation.
Right. And I mean, I'm not judging people for hiring a girl to have sex. I'm not judging them for that, but I'm just saying the label is what it is.
Yes.
If you're going to pay a girl to have sex, well, you're a sex pat. All right. But if you're going to support a woman while you date her, and it's like, hold on, I want you to, I want you to not, I want you to be available when I'm available. I want you to be able to not have to worry about working 6 days a week. I don't want you exhausted from a job. I'm going to give you this allowance so you don't have to work. And by the way, and of course in the back of his mind, not verbally, all right, because they're already, shagging in the sheets. Now at that point, is he a sex pack? Is he a sex pack?
No, because they've been dating, they've been hanging out, that they're once again, it's pre. If you created an agreement beforehand, then there's where the problem is. But if you've been dating for a while and stuff like that, there's nothing wrong taking care of your woman. I mean, if you're with someone and you guys have been dating, you start catching feelings on anything and everything like that, then of course not. I would never say that. I mean, what a man's job is to actually take care of a woman and stuff like that. So nothing wrong by having that. And some people say, well, Mike knows everything. We're having a conversation here on opinions. It's like, I'm not forcing my opinions on you. I'm being asked a question and I'm formulating my opinions. You have every right to what your belief and your opinions are out there. And I'm not going to hold that against you. I'm just going to say, we're having a conversation here. When you start saying all this stuff that, I'm pushing it, whatever, then that means you're just butthurt. It's a conversation. Okay.
All right. I hate to do this, Mike, but Andy's going live in like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
We have a lot of people that are shared subscribers. I want to give them time to get something to drink, hit the CR before Andy's live stream. But I do appreciate everybody's opinion. And I can tell you right now, just looking at all the opinions and comments, you guys there are going to be some people that are not going to be happy with the video that comes out tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. So the video.
So this is your pre-bomb drop then.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I wanted to see if there were as many different gray areas as what went through my mind.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot. There's a lot of gray areas. I mean, then there's the other part where a guy comes to the Philippines, he can hook up with girls, meet with girls without paying to play. Then then all of a sudden one night he's like, I don't want to work hard. I don't want to go to downtown BGC, go drinking, whatever. I'm just gonna pay for it, this and that. So then there's a bunch of different definitions on it. But in the end, it's like, I guess you're a sex expat if you paid to play at one point. In the end, right?
Yep.
So I mean, but don't get sick of it. Don't get mad if somebody calls you one when you actually did it.
Yeah. Okay, folks, I want to thank everybody. Thank you for joining Mike, Philly.
No problem, man.
All right, Dano, Brute, everybody. So many great people. Thanks so much, and we hope everybody has a great day. See you at Andy's. Don't forget Andy Omar. See you there.
Later.